we'll move on. Who's got something? Anybody got anything?
Well, you know what, Dan?
Oh, boy. That's said with love, Steve Watts. I'm listening. Go ahead.
I would like to know what the impetus was for the formation of this company and how it actually really got started.
The impetus for what?
For how you came to open this.
Okay, like just how I got into business, or how we started doing auto.
Auto, I mean, yeah.
The auto part of what we're doing.
Right.
All right. So in 2000, in the earliest days of the 2000s, even 10 years before that, I started on the phone selling radio in 1986. Graduated college in May '85. Played baseball. You know, I didn't play to the level Scott played. I was monkeying around in what they call the independents now. And you know, I knew, for me, I had this realization that ain't happening for me. I have an accounting degree, and I'm like, okay, now what? I had no idea how to make any money. And I grew up without any money. And I'm not whining. I loved my life. Wouldn't change it for a thing. But I had this thing in my head that, man, someday. Now someday came, and I had no idea how the hell to make any money. So I took a job in Summers collecting over the phone, collecting radio, Steve, for a company selling radio time. So I got really good at that end of it. And I learned that people would commit to you. Sure, I'm going to send that out. And that money would never come. Took people at their word. Oh man, that one's definitely coming. No. So I started learning about sales. That I've got to get people somehow motivated, better than most, to keep their commitments. So I didn't realize I was selling. I had knocked on doors for ad books. I had, you know, shoveled snow as a kid, knocking on doors, but I didn't know I was selling. So I wanted to avoid sales. In my head, salesmen were slick, you know, greasy. Hey, how's it going? You know, constantly on, and I'm like, oh my God, I never want to be a salesman, ever. So again, we're talking about mindset and perspective, and that's where I was growing up on Long Island. I know most of you probably don't know. I know Curtis knows a little bit. You know, real blue collar, just outside of Queens. Whatever. You know, I loved my life. I had no real examples in front of me besides sideways shit, how to make money. So now I take that job. Now I graduate college. I have an accounting degree. Big deal. I don't want to be an accountant. And then I remember sitting in front of my first interview for accounting, and this person saying, "What you get in cost accounting? What you get in advance? What you get in auditing?" You know, and like a real pompous ass. And I'm saying to myself, you know what? I'm gonna so kill it, and you're gonna be doing my book someday. As I'm sitting in the interview, this is what's in my head. So, again, I leave the interview though, and that was a great thought, but I had no idea how to make any money still. So, I took a job selling from a similar company that was doing the collecting, and long story short, sales wasn't what I thought that it was. You know, as long as you're honest and you solve problem solving, and it's just a matter of overcoming objection. So I started selling, and then as I got into the sales part of it, now I grew to eventually start my own business. Now I got a business. What I noticed in my business, it was fight or flight, because the radio thing was straight commission. So you had to hire somebody for a wage to give them a chance. But I didn't take out big loans or anything like that. So I had to make sure I made the sales to cover that person being there. And what I recognized is though I could spend a lot of time training people, good people that needed a job, people that wanted a job. But whatever they had locked in their brain, they weren't able to cross over and really believe that straight commission is as sure, if not more sure, than somebody making a salary or an hourly wage. They couldn't grab it. So I'm like, man, if I could come up with a secondary product, and I'm putting all this time and effort into developing people's mindset to make it believe in themselves, to become straight commission salesmen. I mean, what is it gonna be? What is it gonna be? And I tried everything. When I say tried implies failure, right? I made my feeble attempt at setting appointments for insurance, investment companies, furniture companies, personal training. We've done it all. And all of them we did produce. It just none of it felt like that was the answer. Until I had a buddy introduce me to Craig Andrea, and Craig owned Gateway Chevrolet in Chicago. And I walked into the room, so I knew what your minds are. I know all the BS that people play on themselves. I know cherry picking. Oh, where's the good leads? Where's the good leads? I know all the bullshit people believe is true. So I know it. I'm conditioned. I'm not bragging on me, but this is an area I'm a warrior, and I know I could somewhat attempt to teach people. And I knew that these people at that car dealership, they're getting 4,000 leads a month. That's a lot of leads for a car dealer. And they're handing these leads out like they're special. If anybody ever saw the movie Boiler Room, or Glenn Ross, they're the good leads, right, Steve? So here's all the good leads going to all these people with all these crazy ass different mindsets. So what do you think their outcome probably was compared to a mindseted company, right, that's going to help you deliver to your brain a program built as a winning mindset as opposed to whatever you want it to be mindset? I just know walking into any dealership right now, or even back then, that I could do better than them just handing out all these leads to all these individuals. So I'm like, man, instead of them giving all those leads to all these people, I want all those leads. And I guarantee you the owner of this place would want me to have all those leads, because I'm gonna bring in more people than his methodology is gonna bring him in. And that's how it was born. So I was a little bit nervous, like, how am I gonna know what to say? Well, but I just listened to a couple people they were good people, but they were brutal, they sucked, they didn't know how to sell. So I heard that. I heard them just bailing when someone says, no, I'm not interested. And they'd hang up the phone, like, what? Oh man, I'll take it over and just spit game like Ethan. And get them. So from 03 to 08, that was something we would have our people who weren't the greatest closers on radio, they would handle. And we built a bit of a department on that. I didn't chase it down as a business though. I was still focused on everybody that was here, that was already selling radio, and it was just this little side thing. So then when that dealership bellied up, went out of business, I just went back to focusing on radio. So did that answer your question? I was, hey Dave, what time is it? Again, as usual, I don't let anybody down, I just tell you how to build a clock. So
But you picked it back up again.
We picked it back up again. I'm gonna get to this meeting, thank you, Steve. I picked it back up again because radio, I messed up. I didn't do things right. I was never in business for 20 years before, and I made some mistakes, and I was almost out of business. And I had to go through the worst financial hell of my life. Really the worst, most trying, I should say, not the worst, but the most trying experience of my life. And it's nothing in comparison to what other people have to live through. Anyway, it was tough. And then when I was going through it, I had a decision to make. Do I go back through that process of developing people to straight commission? Or is there a more direct route? And all the things I had learned was many successful people fail temporarily. And then they just get back to where they were faster because they have the knowledge. They know how to. So I just said, you know what? These dealerships all suffer from the thing I already presented to you. This mindset, methodology that's broken. I said I could do what I was doing, and I could do it for every dealership. Every dealership spends X amount of dollars a month, and they all need this help. And then that's how we got done. Okay? Anybody else got anything before we get rolling here?